Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at PrettyTable in Python, and as you can see in this image there are many things that are a pretty table. But what we actually want to look at is this, a nice way of formatting tables so that you can see the data really easily. And the module we're going to use to do that is called PrettyTable, which is a utility but it's very easy to use. So to actually visualize the data, in here we've got this CSV file, and we can actually view it using pandas. But we can import PrettyTable, and if you haven't already got it installed, you need to use pip install PrettyTable, and of course I already have it installed. We're also going to be pandas, so that we can actually read this table, and NumPy. So the first thing we should do is we should actually create a PrettyTable, and we can then just say print the table. So this is what an empty table looks like, and you can see it's just an empty table. So we might want to put some data in. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the CSV data.csv and then print the data frame, and you'll see that this already prints out a table. It's got numbers in, but we want to show that this table is not as nice as the tables we can generate using the PrettyTable API. So if we want to add data, what we can do is we can say that header is the list of the df.columns. So we're just taking the columns in our data frame and turning them into a list, and the data is a list of lists of the data in the data frame. And so we just print the header and the data so that you can see what they are. And you see the header is this list of city name, area, population, and full rainfall. So all this thing at the top, and then we've got all of the data, which is just a two-dimensional list. So we can say table.field names are the header, and we can say for row in data, add row. So we're setting the field names to the header, and we're adding all these rows. And so you can see that it's kind of database oriented, but we can then just print a table and see what we've got. And we have this beautiful table with all this data in. However, this process here is a bit long, so what we can say is just table.addRows data, and it puts all the data in straight away. Or we could go one step further, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of both of these, and just say that our table is a from CSV because we've imported star data.csv. And so we really didn't have to do any of that, except that it doesn't take in the file name. We actually need to open the file and use the file handler, so quite similar to JSON. So there we go, we've opened the file and just created this table from CSV, and that was incredibly easy. You can also do it with database cursors, but I haven't got a database readily available, so we're just going to use the CSV from now. We can also print the table.getString, and you might think, why not just print the table? Well, the getString method is quite useful if you want to save it as a variable and maybe send it to someone or put it in an email, but it also means we can customize. So we can say maybe the only fields we care about are the city name and the area, and so we can just customize which fields we're putting in. And we can also customize, maybe we say that we don't want all the data, we want to start at number 1 and end at 4. And you see here it's actually coming up with all the list of things we can use. and you can see we get a smaller table. But I do think it's nice displaying the whole table. So what we'll do is we'll customize the whole table at once, just by printing the table. And so we'll say the table.align is going to be L. So we're going to left align the whole table rather than having it centered. And we might say, actually, maybe the city name, we want that to be center aligned. So we can say table.align city name is equal to C. So the city name bit then becomes center aligned and everything else becomes left aligned. Although if I'm honest, I think things look better center aligned. So I'm just going to comment that bit out. We can also sort, so we might want to say, we're going to sort by the city name, so they're in alphabetical order, because obviously things look nicer when they're in alphabetical order. Or we might decide, instead of sorting by the city name, we're going to sort by the amount of rainfall in reverse. So instead we'll just overwrite this, and we're going to sort by the annual rainfall and set the reverse sort equal to true, so that it now puts the one with the highest rainfall at the top. And you can actually see that what it's done is it's sorted the whole thing alphabetically. And this is just one of the consequences of reading from a CSV. So maybe we decide, we don't want that to happen, and we'll just go back to the old format. So now this data is numerical because the pandas CSV is slightly better, and then we get everything back and we make sure now that everything remains as the correct data type. And so now it's put the largest value at the top rather than the largest one alphabetically. We can also, rather than using the Getstring, we can get an HTML string. And that means that we could just copy and paste this into HTML and it gives us a table. But even better than that, we can say that we have attributes. So we might want to say the table ID is my table and the class is red, maybe because you want to color the background red or something. And it looks like nothing's changed, but it has added here to the table the ID and the class name. We could also convert it to JSON, but that isn't extremely useful. But the last thing I think we should look at is the styling, because if you're printing the table, you probably want it to look nice. So there are multiple styles, and one that's quite useful is MS Word friendly. And this means that when you copy and paste it into Microsoft Word, it works alright. But you might also want to have your table in a markdown format. So if you've got some kind of markdown document, then you can see this is going to now work, and it will look like a table when you format it. However, I think the interesting ones are the border ones. So there's double border, and this is going to get rid of the X's and crosses we saw from before and draw this really nice looking border around the table. And you know that if there's a double border, there must also be a single border. And I think that is a very nice looking table that has all our data and is very, very simple to do. So you can see that this PrettyTable utility is extremely useful for just printing and formatting tables. It saves a lot of work, and if you want to easily visualize a CSV, then you can use this extremely easily. It also allows you to take stuff from databases just by initializing it from a database query, and then you can, for example, put it in an email and send someone a beautifully formatted table. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. You're going to use PrettyTable whenever you need to format tables in the future, and I'll see you again same time next week. Till then.